Hi, Brian.
What's up, Layla?
You look like hell.
It's been hell. I just this fire in LA is still raging. We thought we'd have to evacuate on Saturday. It's been interesting trying to like live normal life and deal with the fire. So on this weekend we tried to do normal stuff. Like we had signed up for a comedy show, Kinky Comedy. I don't Have you been to Kinky Comedy
I've
before?
been dying to go. Well, because I know it's like Mo vibes and like some other friends of ours, and like they're so funny, and it's always
E-
a really hot, sexy group that goes.
exactly. And the comedy is all kind of geared towards like a kinky crowd so they can say more stuff. It's like when you go on a cruise ship, they do like kids show, then they do the adult show. If there was a third show, it would be this one.
Ah,
It's like when the normal adults go to sleep, do the kinky show.
I love
Um,
it.
so it is a blast, and so it was our first time going, and it was great. Ran into some listeners there.
How
That was
fun!
awesome, but it did lead to like a pretty embarrassing story here.
Go
So
on.
so, and I don't want to give away any jokes that any of the comedians tell, but one of the comedians that we know, should I give him an? I'm not gonna name him. Should I give him a letter or something?
Yeah.
All right, let's call him In. In tells a story about a TriMix shot gone wrong. Okay.
Yes. Tell the audience what
And
TriMix is.
so TriMix is this injection that people do to get an erection. So it's usually for people who have like very, very significant erectile dysfunction. And you can get this prescribed. You inject it into your penis shaft, and then you get hard for what's supposed to be like normal sex, like an hour, right? But the thing about it is that like it will stay hard for quite some time. So if you are hard for 4 hours, then it's an issue when you need to go like take the antidote or go to the doctor, go to the emergency room basically to get your boner uh unboned. I don't know how to say that, to debone it. So, the comedian's story was about a time like it was like hard way too long. And it was so funny because right after it, like after the show, like, one of the people who was a fan of the show came up to me. He's like, "That's so funny because on the podcast you told a story about Trimex one time." I was like, "Yeah, because I took it and it was like not going down." And he was like, "Would you take it again?" I was like, "Maybe." And like, it's so stupid. It's like, why would you take it again? But long story short, I ended up taking it again that night, like right after the show. And it's because I had a headache and I didn't want to take a Viagra because it would make the headache worse.
Yeah.
So then I was like, all right, let me just do it. And so me and we should have known better from his own story. We've both been through negative experiences. He was like, let's just take half of what the doctor recommends,
Mhm.
and then we'll be okay. So we took this at like 11:30. Then we played. We probably played till like 3 in the morning.
Oh my
Went
God.
home, maybe 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning, who knows? Went home, and we were texting each other at like 3:30. I was like, dude, are you still hard? He's like, yeah, I'm still hard. I was like, me too. It's like, what are you gonna do? I was like, I don't know. I think I'm gonna like, you know, take a, we had already taken Sudafed. He's like, I'll put some ice on it. Maybe that'll work. So I go to sleep, wake up. It's like 5 a.m. Still hard. So it's been over 5 hours now.
It doesn't help after you come.
So I thought about this. So here's what happened, Layla. I started throwing everything I knew to get rid of an erection at it. So I tried to come again. That just made it harder, which makes sense because you're stimulating it. I don't think you should stimulate it.
Oh.
My wife looked up like what the antidote like active ingredients were. And so she was like, you know what? I think if you like take a Benadryl and a bunch of puffs of a buterol inhaler,
Mm.
you will, it'll basically be the antidote. But we didn't have any Benadryl. So I took puffs of albuterol, tried to go back to sleep, woke up at 6:30 in the morning, still hard. And I texted in, I was like, bro, it's still not going anywhere. He was like, me too, me too. I'm starting to worry because now we don't want to go. Now I'm thinking like, yo, there's a disaster in LA. The last place I want to be is an emergency room.
Yeah.
So Layla, I wake up and I was like, listen, I'm just gonna go for a walk. I start going for a walk at 6:30 in the morning. Normally, people, if you're the type that wakes up and you go for a walk or run at 6:30 in the morning, you probably feel pretty good about yourself, right? Because it's just like at 6:30 in the morning on the street, it's just people who slept there and active people who are like getting after life,
Mhm.
and degenerates, I guess, like me, who are
Mhm.
struggling from the night before. So I was walking, and walking was further stimulating it. So then I started running. I went for like a 1 mile run. And my plan was like, if I can get blood flow back into my legs, then it'll take it out of my dick.
Yeah, or you're gonna have bruises on your thighs from running. Like, dong, 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 dong.
That's so funny.
Like, ow.
Dude, it did not work. I just ran hard for a mile. Like, I ran to 7-Eleven. I bought some Benadryl, rock hard in 7-Eleven.
Tale as
Just
old as
like,
time.
yeah, it's like me and one dude buying a hot dog at 6:30 in the morning at 7-Eleven. I don't know what he was going through. You know?
Both of you are going through crisis hot dog situations.
So I came home, like, long story short, like, I did buy Benadryl at 7-Eleven. I took it. I came home, put some ice on it, went to sleep. So I was throwing everything at it. I woke up at 8:20 in the morning, still hard. So at this point, N has woken up, and he's gotten some of the antidote from a friend to bring over. And luckily, like, he's on his way, but to my house with the antidote, and it starts going soft. Finally, after 8 hours. And we don't know what did it. I do know this, though. That was the most high I've ever felt in my life. Because I talked to a nurse later. She was like, your heart was probably going insane. She's like, you took 4 Sudafed, a Benadryl, and like 5 puffs of an albuterol inhaler. Like 5 steroid puffs. Like you must have been. I was like, I was like feeling tingles in places I've never felt tingles before. The end of the story, no more TriMix.
Oh.
We're done. Because at the end of all that, like, I was hard that whole time and playing. And then my wife was like, you know, your dick, even though it's harder on TriMix, it actually feels better when you don't take it. And like, so have you slept with someone who's done a TriMix shot?
Yeah, my husband does TriMix, at parties a lot of the times, and then he loses his erection after, like, I've never heard him complain about it ever. I know everybody's different, everybody's body's different, but also I would agree with your wife. Because think about it, most dildos aren't like hard, like they kind of have a little bit of give to them, so if it's too hard, it, like, I don't know, it doesn't feel as real.
Right, there's no give, and then you can't, like, the way you ride a penis, you can't ride it the same way.
You can't get on top or I'll hurt you.
Right. Oh, yeah, and it doesn't bend, so anytime you try to bend it with your body, it feels like you're gonna break it.
Yeah.
Right? It feels like a log or like a rod, like a metal rod. So we're done.
Okay, no more of that.
No more. And I should have known better. Like, the level of "I told you so" we're hearing from other people right now, me and N, it's embarrassing.
I mean, it's just, I guess, what's the definition of insanity, right? Like, I don't know what to tell you. You're a crazy person.
Well, try anything twice, right? And so it was my second time, and we tell listeners to try something new. We legit thought if we took, I think, look, it's built for older guys who can't get hard at all. So, like, maybe, like, let's say, like, if the normal dose is 10 units, maybe you just need it 2. I don't know how much your husband takes.
I don't know either. I mean, they call it TriMix for a reason. Maybe you have to try it 3 times in order to, like, really figure it out.
My wife did say third time's the charm, but no, we're done. I'm out.
Oh.
I'm out. Guys, listen, if you do TriMix, no shade on you. You live your life. I'm out, though. I am out. I have, like, I'm scared of losing my dick. So we're done.
That's fair.
We are done. I wish you were there for it, Layla, though.
I know. I haven't been to LA, or, like, I was going to go to Mystery Temple next weekend, but I'm not sure if it's canceled or, like, where the location is. There's another party going on that weekend too that a lot of people are going to. Do you know what other party I'm talking about?
I do. I'm going to be out of town, but I do know about it.
That's right. You will be out of town.
You know what's interesting? And we can, is listening to the podcast. He just texted me, would love to discuss the body dysmorphia TriMix further.
Hello? Are you listening?
That we have to keep in. We're recording this podcast, and Layla's husband can hear the episode, and he's texting me about supporting with this TriMix issue. Thank you, bro. Thank you. I'll let you know.
That's so funny.
If I want to try this again. I usually try not to have my messages up to distract me, but that's hilarious. I'm glad we have that up.
Honestly, we do need to have him back on, and he said he'd come back on as long as he could, like, wear a mask or just, like, be anonymous, something like that. I think that he, especially in the last year, he's had such, like, like this spiritual awakening and just like really is passionate about like toxic masculinity and like all that kind of shit.
Yeah, if I started another podcast, I'm sorry, these gnats, man. I'm trying to like, people. The other thing going on in my life is like I have like a gnat infestation in my house plants, and it's been going on for weeks, Annie. I've been like slapping these things out the sky, and so I've tried a bunch of things. The next thing I'm on is like these mosquito bits. If you're listening to this and we put this in the episode, if you have handled it, I will pay you to come over and knock this problem
I
out
know
for
what to
me.
do. I know what to
You
do.
know,
Did you try the
and it
apple
could be
cider
like
vinegar?
I haven't. Because I've read like 8 things, and apple cider vinegar was one. I heard hydrogen peroxide mix. I'm trying this thing called mosquito bits next. But like I would pay someone to come over, dressed like a maid and like handle this. Um, and
Ap-
dressed like a maid. I'm just kind of throwing that part out there. But so what I was reading is like there's one that's specifically for the larva, and like I can't do anything about the gnats. They're gonna die off though. It's the eggs that I got to take out, right? And I know which plants they're hitting because the plants themselves aren't growing.
Go get an
Um,
exterminator out.
so I'm not gonna hire an exterminator for like a gnat problem. Layla, listen to what I'm pitching right here. I'm saying like someone out there knows how to handle this. I'm like, come over and like help with the gnat problem, and then it might be like, do you want a glass of wine because you helped, and then et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Layla,
You're
we have
such a
listeners.
freaking
Layla,
dork. You're such a dork.
I'm giving them an opportunity to help.
Hold on, you said you had a story about a hotel hookup, and I've been dying to hear this.
All right, all right. Ooh, where do I start this? So my wife and I have been like booking this hotel. It's always the same hotel in LA in December. It's called the London, and we book it because we can do like a little staycation and use some of our Amex points. And it's just like an end of the year, like let's stay at a nice place. And so what we'll do is like we'll kind of spontaneously invite a couple in LA over that night. It's like, hey, like we got a hotel in the London. Do you want to come by? And so we had done this, but then people were feeling sick, so we kind of had to cancel no one was able to come over. Okay. And so we're like, man, we got this hotel. We usually try to have some fun there, but it didn't happen. And so like we stayed at the hotel, but it was play wise, we thought it was gonna be a wash. But because we booked through Amex, we are not sponsored by American Express. We would love to be, but I'm gonna throw this out there. Like if you do have an Amex card and you book their like fine stay hotels through their card, that you get like a 4 p.m. checkout, which is insane, right? So you get to basically hang out all day. So we got to do breakfast and go to the gym. I was hanging out at the bar watching football. Anyway, so my wife's at the gym and I'm at the bar because I'm not feeling great, having like a ginger juice. She comes by, says hi. It's 3 p.m. We're like, hey, we got to check out at 4. So she's like, I'm going to go upstairs. I'm going to shower. Okay. 10 minutes later, I get a text from my wife and she says, hey, I just met a really hot guy and he wants to have a threesome. Are you down? Listen, I had just seen my wife 10 minutes ago and she did not say any of this. So she had just met this person like in the elevator or something. What I did find out later was like, yeah, this guy saw her in the hallway, thought she was hot, ran and caught up to her, got in the elevator with her and started talking to her. He was a French guy. He was visiting from France. We'll call him F. And I had seen him in the hallway, so I had a feeling who she was talking about. And so I got in the elevator. I was like, okay, this is weird, but whatever. I'll come up. Get out of the elevator. Yep, there she is talking to him. And he's like,
Mhm.
oh, this is your husband. Hello. And we meet the guy. And I was like, yeah, whatever. My wife's done a ton for me. I can do this for her. Why not? So we tell him to come. She wants to shower and stuff. So we were like, all right, come over at 3:30, but we got to check out at 4. So you're going to have to get here and like, we got to get started immediately. You know what I'm saying? So like, go prepare yourself, sir. So we go in the room and like, pack up real fast. She showers and like 8:30, he shows up at the hotel. So we got 30 minutes to like knock out this MFM.
Hot.
Really hot. Like my wife loves a plot, and we tell everybody
Yes.
like do it for the plot. So he walks
Yes.
in, really good looking guy, and it's like drop your pants immediately. Wife has 2 dicks in her hands, so she's going at it. The problem is he's never done an MFM before, so he's never been in the room with another guy naked, and I was already turned on by the whole thing. So when my pants came off, I was like ready to go.
Mhm.
He wasn't, and I think that can be really intimidating for someone the first time.
Yeah.
So he really struggled, man. Like,
Like struggle
bless his.
getting hard.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
really struggled. And I think my wife really wanted to like play with 2 guys at the same time experience. And then most of it was mostly me sitting back, him playing with her because she was trying to like get him aroused and get him turned on.
Was this y'all's first MFM?
It was our first MFM
Yeah, yeah, okay.
in person. So, and it was spontaneous. So it hit all the check marks.
Yes,
Um,
yes.
but yeah, but he couldn't get hard. And then at one point I kind of left and went to the bathroom, came back. He was hard. But then once I got there, he lost his heart again. So
Okay,
then I was like, man, should I leave? But my wife wants an MFM. She didn't want like a one-on-one with this dude.
right.
So eventually we had to like, all right, man, you tried. After like 15 minutes, 15, 20 minutes, like, man, you tried. We got to check out. He left. And then, we fucked for like, 5 minutes and then had to check out of the hotel. Fast forward, he's been texting her. And I just found this out on Friday. He's been like texting her, being like, hey, like, he's been trying to get her to do a one-on-one,
Ah,
which is kind of annoying because I don't know how long he's been texting her, but she brought it up on Friday because we had found out about a play party that night. And she was like, well, he's been wanting to play one-on-one, but that's kind of weird, but maybe I should invite him to this play party tonight. You
oh,
think
no.
so? You think, okay, so Layla, so this guy struggled with
Mhm,
just me in the room. You think
okay.
he would do better with like 5 dicks in the room?
I don't know, give him a Cialis. Why aren't you helping him?
It wasn't enough time. Like, even if
Oh,
I'd
no, no,
given
no,
him the
that
pill,
time, sure, but, like, go to a party, maybe your wife could be like, "Hey, by the way, most guys are taking something at parties because there's a lot of stimulus, there's a lot going on, like, very common to not be able to maintain an erection. Take a Cialis, come to the party, have a great time."
I think given enough time, I would do that. But I do think it's kind of weird that she's already told him, like, hey, we don't play separate. And he keeps asking. And my concern is like bringing someone to a party now that doesn't
Mhm.
understand the etiquette of like maintaining people's relationship
Okay, see,
boundaries.
I didn't know that she has already disclosed to him we don't play separately, and was he being pushy about it, or did he just say at one time, "She said we don't do that, come to this party"?
So he said it the day they met.
Mhm.
And then he was saying it while they were playing, like maybe if Brian leaves, and she was like, he's not going to leave. And then so to continue saying it via text, and you know how I am about rewarding bad behavior.
Right, right.
So on one hand, like I'm fine with her hooking up with him. I almost don't want to reward his behavior, and I was hesitant to bring someone that we were then responsible for how they show up in the
Right.
space.
That makes sense. Okay. That makes
Okay,
sense
we
completely.
agree on something, Layla. Oh my
We're
God,
agreeing. We're
this is
agreeing.
our
Now that
first agreement of the new year.
I know. Now that I understand the context, because you're right, you are responsible for whoever you bring to a party.
Right. And
Okay.
he's already shown that he doesn't get the etiquette. Maybe because he's French, but maybe because he's young, and maybe because he just isn't exposed. I don't know.
Right. Because
So,
you also can't fault him for not knowing the etiquette when he hasn't been taught the etiquette, right?
100%. And so that's what I asked my wife. I was like, hey, if you bring him, are you also going to take responsibility for teaching him
Right.
how to be in this space? And once she realized she had responsibility, she was like, no, I'm not going to invite him.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right.
So, she answered that. She handled that on her own. Where
Okay.
I'm at with it now, though, and what we'll have to update people on is, and I mentioned this to my wife, I was like, he wants to play with you. You want to play with him.
Mhm.
That's fine. There's probably a girl out there that wants to play with me and doesn't want to play with you.
Mhm. Yeah.
And what we could do is like bring them both over and do separate room play. You can go do your thing. I'll go do my thing.
Hot.
And so we might try to make that happen this week. I have a couple girls in mind. Now, the issue is like by default, my wife will be a little less comfortable with them because they don't want to sleep
Play
with her
with her.
anyway. hmm
Uh-huh.
But it could be like it's kind of like a cool opportunity, you know. So I will update make a note, Annie. We will update people on what happens with the French guy F.
Well, let's talk about the playing separately thing. It sounds like you guys are going to attempt kind of same room first, right? Which I think is great that it's like y'all both want to experiment with playing separately. And I think that's really great, like watching y'all's evolution and lifestyle. And the fact that y'all are like, okay, we want to explore this. How can we explore this in a way that we're most comfortable at this moment? And that is same house, separate room play. And I think that's really cool that you guys were like, let's try it.
hmm
How does that, like, how do you feel about it? Like, do you feel jealous? Do you feel nervous?
No, I feel fine about it because we've done that. We've done that at parties. Actually, I actually don't think that's a stretch.
Well, parties
Um,
are very different than an experience with four people.
sure.
because you're giving
Yeah.
all of your attention to one person while your wife is in the other room getting attention all from one person. And also, do you guys have these boundaries and agreements in place where it's like, okay, you and the girl are done and you're taking a break. Are you guys allowed to go in and watch your wife with that guy? Don't knock on the door when we're in here.
That is interesting. We haven't thought about all those things. I'm not gonna like not go in to check on my wife. So like,
But will that affect the French guy?
well, I don't care because like
Okay,
I'm like it's my wife. He does. It's not like he's bringing the other girl. By the way, this is like a random. It's like
sure.
I still like if she wants to come check on me and I want to go check on her. Like that's just gonna happen.
Well, do you think that you
Um,
should tell the French guy kind of like what is going to be entailed and the boundaries? Like, this is an opportunity for you guys to essentially teach the French guy etiquette in these types of situations, right?
uh-huh. Oh, for
So,
sure. I mean, I think that they would like we would start a group if we're gonna do it, we'll start a group chat and be like, hey,
okay, yeah,
here's the expectations. Are you aligned with this?
okay.
And then he's gotta understand like you're stepping into a relationship. And so it's not like just like there's boundaries with people when you just with any girl you meet, bro. So like there's gonna be boundaries here too. And you get to honor those boundaries. I think that we have boundaries, like people have boundaries even when you play one-on-one with people. So I think he should expect there's gonna be boundaries and he gets aligned to them. But I do
Mhm,
think what we're talking about now is like the evolution of playing separate. And we haven't been a play separate couple and we haven't really had any interest in that. And I'm definitely not announcing like, oh, now we're playing separate because people will listen to the podcast. But we are looking at some separate experiences where, for example, like there's a party coming up in February. I'm going to be on a work trip, but my wife wants to go. And then flip it. We were planning on going to one at the end of March, but now she has to go to a bachelorette party. So, and these were parties where like I have gone to parties in the past for like work or for networking, and then I leave when the play starts and I leave early. I haven't gone to a party separately for my wife specifically with the intention to play.
mhm,
I haven't been like, I'm going to play my ass off while you're not there. And so it is bringing up some tension because like we haven't crossed that bridge yet or that boundary. And we've been trying to figure out what we're comfortable with and what we're not comfortable with going in, like, letting that go. And I think we've talked about this on the podcast before, like we've had some boundary breakage and some agreement breakage. Like one agreement we had is like, don't do other people's party favors. And
mhm,
recently, like a couple times, like my wife will be like, oh, I just did this person's thing and I'm
mhm,
taking this other person's thing. It's like, hey, listen, this was like an agreement. And so that like, and we've talked about this before, Layla, like with my wife, I know personally, it's less like I don't trust her, but she has this history of kind of like unilaterally changing agreements on the fly. And
mm,
so it might feel small, like, hey, we had this agreement not to do other people's party favors. And then randomly it's like, oh, I did this. Oh, yeah, I did it. But it was just this person's, or it was just this person's, and we trust them. But it was like, yeah, but you didn't talk to me first about that because,
mhm,
like, play that out. It could be like, hey, I did, when I went to this party, I did say I was only going to play with girls. But then, I did fuck these two guys, but it was just these guys. You like them anyway. But it's like, hey,
mm.
that wasn't the agreement. You know what I'm saying? So,
What happens after that? What happens if either of y'all do break an agreement? Like, what does that look like after?
it depends on what the agreement is. And I think this is where I'm bad at it is like, if it is something small, like let's say she took a little bite of a shroom chocolate or something like that, I just kind of let it go. And I think that's like a bad thing for me. Or sometimes it's like, hey, I'm going to take some of this chocolate and she'll say it to me in front of three other people. Sometimes I feel like I'm being put in this position where I always have to be the bad guy to
Right.
to pull it back. And I've talked about this before on the podcast. And I think that is the thing that really irks me is like, when you push agreements that we had, you make me be the bad guy constantly. And then like I'm starting to get that reputation because sometimes people will say stuff like, "Oh, like they'll say her name, "Hey, do you want to do this?" Well, if it's okay with Brian, and it's like now people think
Oh,
I'm holding you back, but like
like
that was
you're
an agreement we made. You know what I'm
like
saying?
like you're the controlling husband who like she has to get permission from. Like one of our main agreements, and I think I've talked about this too. One of our so we have a notes app where a shared notes that we'll go over from time to time. And the number one thing that has not changed in years is we do not question or challenge any of our agreements in the middle of something. So if we're at a party and it's like I want to have sex with someone without a condom or I want to do these party favors, right? And I were to go up to my husband and be like, hey, like, I know this is a part of our thing, but like, is it okay if I just asking in the middle of a party? That's a broken agreement.
Interesting. Interesting.
We do not question our agreements in the middle of something ever. And that sucks sometimes, like sometimes that sucks because I'll be in the middle of something and I'm like, oh, I feel like it would be okay. I feel like it would be appropriate. I feel like the intentions are all good, but I know better now because I have learned the hard way that that is breaking an agreement. I've gone
Yeah.
up to my husband and he'll be like, oh, you're breaking an agreement just by asking me. And I'm like, oh, well, come on. It's just and like, I'm continuing to like, hit the agreement
So
with a
you go through
hammer.
this, you go through that too, where he tries to like move the line.
Um, Not anymore. And,
Okay.
years ago, yes, more so it was the biggest one was our home time. So we have, and this is like our polyamorous agreements, not our party agreements. So our polyamorous agreements is we have a home time of midnight unless we have like a sleepover with someone that we're more serious with. And so there have been times where my husband's like, hey, like, is it cool if I come home a little later? And I'm like, bitch, it's 11:30. Kids still wake up at 6 a.m. Like, no. And also,
Mm,
like, why the fact that you're even questioning me at 11:30 at night, you got to be home in 30 minutes, dude. Does that mean you haven't gotten in your car? Does that mean that, like, what types
mm.
of conversations are you having with this other girl? Is she contributing? Like, is she helping you? Like, is she pushing you to break an agreement? Like, it takes me in all these places. So we just don't do it anymore.
I think that, man, what you just talked about is something interesting. It's in Are there conversations happening between them and the other person that you're not privy to?
Right.
And that's the part that feels a little uncomfortable, right? It's like less like you're trying to move the agreement, but what don't I know? What else is
Yeah.
going on here that I'm unaware of?
Right.
That's a good point. Let me ask you this: like, are we also like, if we sit here though and we ask ourselves honestly, though, Layla, do we also do the same thing? Because I don't want to sit here and throw my wife under the bus and be like, but I probably also move agreements sometimes or do things that wasn't part of the agreement scope.
Oh, yeah. I did the
Mhm.
same thing with our home time. I did the same thing. Oh, I mean, yeah, years ago. Like I've definitely pushed or um I'm trying to think as it like relates to like parties and stuff. I think I had like we have a condom agreement and I think it was someone again years ago that I was really into. We had all recently got tested and I've gone up to my husband and was like, "Hey, like they were tested. We just got tested. Like, is it cool?" And my husband's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, come on. It's not a big deal. Da, 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 da." Like, my intentions are
Yeah.
always good. I'm like, my
Yeah.
intentions are never to make you angry or to break an agreement. Like, in my mind, I'll be so excited about the possibility of this like situation that I don't even put it in a place of I'm breaking an agreement. And sometimes we would get into arguments about it, and it wouldn't be until later when we're pulling up our notes app where I'm like, fuck, you're right, dude. I'm so sorry. That wasn't chill. And that happened enough times to where that just doesn't happen anymore.
Hmm.
Because it's the one thing on our list of agreements that has never changed.
I'm thinking this is like a
Yeah.
pause for thought. It's a new year. Revisiting the agreements would make sense, and then also being like, listen, we've been doing a bad job of changing this agreement, and this is what makes me not trust. Because if I'm like, hey, don't try other people's substances, for example, and like you've been breaking that, then like if I'm not there, you're definitely gonna break it, right? And then if you end up in like a K hole or a G hole or something like that, and
Mm.
I'm out of town, now that's fully on you, right? And now you don't know what's happening. So I think that there's a discussion to be had there. But like your point on like, and they say this in consent talk sometimes, don't change the agreement, even within you and the person you're playing with while the play is happening,
Right.
because emotions are high. And I would
Hmm.
even think that I've probably done before with people because they get like all hot and bothered and they're like, don't slap me. And then all of a sudden they're like, okay, slap me. It's like, wait a second. They just said, don't do that. Now they're saying, do it.
Yeah. I've broken things before. The most recent boundary break or agreement break that I had is we have don't because like I like teasing, right? So if someone like has their cock out and doesn't have a condom on and is kind of like rubbing it around my vagina and stuff like that turns me on. I like that. But that is one of our agreements is they no bare dicks on my vagina, around the hole,
Hmm.
none of that.
Hmm. Hmm.
And I broke that agreement, I don't know, it was like 6, 7 months ago. And I was talking to my husband about it, like, oh my God, this was so hot, like, da, 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 da. And he was like, wait a second.
Mm.
Were they wearing a condom? And I was like, no, but we trust them and like they're cool and they get tested. And he was
Yeah.
like, but that was you still broke.
Yeah.
And I was like, and of course I argued it. And then later I was like, oh my God, you're right. So like that was the more recent one. So like it still happens where I'll try to, like push it a little bit. And also it's so hard with the heat of the moment,
I
right? You
know.
become intoxicated with the heat of the moment. And sometimes I'll be like, you know what? This is future Layla's problem. But current Layla is gonna fucking feel good. And like that sucks when that happens. But I'm always honest with my husband. There was also a time where my husband and I took a lifestyle break for like 4 months and we're like, everything's off the table. And I ended up making out with somebody. And then I was like talking to my husband about it, just kind of like, oh yeah. And then like we made out in the bathroom and it was cute and it was whatever. And then we just like went on and he was like, what? And I was like, oh, is that off the table? And he's like, yeah, we're taking a
you
break.
you know what? Because like what you're talking, like we're talking about this as it comes to non-monogamy, but like breaking agreements could be anywhere in a relationship. It's
Yeah,
like we've talked about in the past, like bachelorette parties, and people get wild, and then they make out with another girl at the bachelorette party. And is that cheating or isn't it? And it's like it
right.
depends on whether there's agreement in place. And so this happens to people that are not in non-monogamous relationships. Or it could be like, yo, you said you weren't going to go to the casino,
Mm-hmm.
and then you did, and you lost money, and you broke an agreement, and it really impacts trust. What we're really talking about at the end of the day is trust.
Right.
And you want to trust your partner. I think where I'm playing with it as I'm listening to you and I'm listening to me, thinking about all these situations, it's like how much of these agreements are to like keep the relationship safe, and how much of them are about control and like trying to control the relationship or control the other person. And
Mm.
when do you know where the agreement's coming from?
That's an interesting thought. Yeah, is this agreement coming from a place of safety or is it coming from a place of jealousy, a place of insecurity? Right? That's a really interesting thought.
And it probably depends on the agreement. Like I know when it comes to like for us, the substance one is a safety thing. Like
Mm-hmm.
I've had to take care of my wife in certain situations where the substance went wrong. So I'm like, let's just take our own stuff and not take stuff we don't understand what it is. Because someone's like, even someone you know is handing something to you. They're like, hey, try this. I have no idea what that really is or like where you got that from.
Yeah.
And you trusted someone else who trusted someone else, but I don't know any of those people in that line. Right.
Right.
So that one's more of a safety thing. But I think sometimes it can be a control thing or a jealousy thing, like the quid
Mm-hmm.
pro quo, like, well, I get to go do that because you did it, you know?
Well, I'd like to, and I'm not sure if we talked about this on a previous episode or if it was like a group call that we all did, but what is the status of your wife going to this more recent party without you? Is that happening?
Yeah. So we get to revisit that. Where I'm at with it right now, like I'm definitely open to her going. We just have to figure out what it's gonna look like. Because like at the end of the day, like initially when she asked, I was a little put off by it because like I haven't asked to do the same thing. But I don't have an issue with it. I just got to figure out like what I'm comfortable with and what I'm not. That's it. So
Do you have a general
um,
idea of what you're comfortable with and what you're not?
I am comfortable with. Well, I'm definitely comfortable with her playing with girls. Well, one, I want her to just like generally maintain the agreements we already have. So, like taking a step back, we're like, okay, if we're saying no substance in general, then like that night, don't do anyone else's substance because I want to trust that you're going to maintain any agreements we have anyway, and that involves you like being in the right state of mind.
Right.
Um, and then I don't even know who's going, and then beyond that, it's like if we have certain people we're not playing with, obviously maintain that. This isn't the time for you to be like, oh, I played with you know
Right.
R because you weren't there. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? So those are things for sure.
Well, can I, may I go back to the first thing you said? I'm okay with her playing with girls.
Mhm.
You're not okay with her playing with other men. Why not?
I didn't say that.
You said, yeah, I'm okay with her playing with girls.
I said that I know for sure I'm okay with her playing with girls, and then I didn't continue. I think that I want to see who's going because there are a bunch of people that are like I like it's odd in the level in the with a lot of our friends I don't really care. I think more so for me it's like I want you like home by a certain time.
Yeah.
I don't want you like out of your mind or out of like control, and then
Mhm.
I want you home by a certain time so I also know like okay you're home.
Mhm.
So I think like, hey, I'm not there, so don't be there till like 2 in the morning, you know,
Mhm.
like leave at midnight. And like I'm saying this, but I've also like held this myself. Layla,
Right.
like you know this, where like
Mhm.
I leave stuff early or I leave like I'll play a little bit and then I take off. Like there's no
Right.
need for me to be there till like, you know, 2 in the morning till it shuts down.
Mhm.
So I think it's more so stuff around that than like, oh, don't play with or like only suck dick, you know? I think
Okay.
that's where I'm at with it. What do you think? Is that wrong? Layla
No.
Layla disagrees, but she's not saying it, people. The look on
No,
your
it's not
face.
that I no, no, no. It's not that I disagree with anything that you're saying. I think that I think I'm just, cuz my husband and I, we've never really had many boundaries or agreements when it comes to play parties, and I've gone to plenty of parties without my husband. And we don't even have like a home time. Like the only boundary we have is just condoms. Right? But then
Mhm.
again, I'm not really taking substances at parties. I'm not like hooking up with people that, my husband's uncomfortable with, So I think I'm just having a hard time like relating. So that's why I think I ask you so many questions because I'm genuinely curious. And I think a lot of men especially can relate to the discomfort of their partners hooking up with other men. They're just naturally more comfortable with that than they are with their partners hooking up with other women. And that's why I asked about that and like where that comes from. Is that come from a place of safety, insecurity, jealousy? Like that's kind of what I was trying to understand with you.
Mhm.
How would you feel if she went to the party, she came back and was like, I hooked up with 4 guys, 2 of them you're friends with, and 2 of them you're not, but they were really great and they were hot and we had a great time. And I got home by 1 in the morning, like you wanted. I didn't do the substances, like whatever. How would it still make you feel a certain way that she hooked up with 4 guys and 2 of them you didn't know?
No, I think I think I'd feel fine with that. I
Oh,
think
okay.
like if she's maintaining the agreements, I think at the end of the day with me and my wife, it's like, are you going to maintain the agreements or not? By the way, like there's plenty of people who've been in the lifestyle longer than us that don't go to parties separately, and so I
Oh,
think
yeah.
that this isn't this is we don't have to do it. It's not a people can choose whatever they want with the relationship. It's not like, oh, we are behind or we're not a good relationship because I'm having some tension around this. I think there's
Hmm.
meant to be tension there. I also think it's totally fine for me to put whatever boundaries in place I want to
Hmm.
because like this is something we're stepping into and it's the first time. So just because it looks some way for other couples doesn't mean that's it's going to look that way for us,
Right.
you know? And again, and I've said this, like I've never had like a full pass at a party without her.
Hmm.
And it's not like I'm trying to be like, you know, maintain equality here, but I'm just like, while I'm being coached to like, just let her go do her thing. That's never happened for me either. So there's some tension here, and I've always had boundaries. So I think it's fair for there to be boundaries that make me feel comfortable. And
Absolutely.
the last thing I'll say is like where I'm going that weekend, it's not like I'm going to a bachelor party and I'm going to be out drinking, having fun. It's like a work trip. And so I also want to make sure that I'm able to perform my duties well. And what I don't want to have on Saturday night is like a boundary break that now I have to carry into like what I have to get done the next day. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? So
Yeah.
I'm also trying to protect my headspace around it. When
Mhm.
we do, whatever we do agree to, I'll be sure to share it so people
Mhm.
can kind of like learn what process did you go through and what was that back and forth like.
I'm really excited to hear that follow up. And also, may I give a suggestion? Do a shared notes app so there is no gray area, like tangible, it's something tangible you guys can look back at has been instrumental for us. Cause like I said, years ago, we were kind of always bending these agreements and boundaries because it was something we brought up in conversation where we're like, yeah, add that to the list. But it almost didn't feel real until we put it in our
Right.
shared notes.
Right. Right. I hear you on that. I'm with you. I'm with you. I'm opening up my notes right now. Do I have a shared note about this? Yes, I will add it to this.
Good.
Okay. Well, okay, before we go, updates. We said we would update people on ongoing stuff. All right. So
Hmm.
there's two things. One, you were talking about a guy that you started hanging out with that you
Yeah.
really liked. How is that progressing? So like let's do how long do we have on these updates? Like 2 minutes, 3 minutes? All right. So 3 minute update, Layla. What's going on with what do we call him again? Clyde, right?
Clyde, that's right. Okay.
Yes. All right.
It's going well with Clyde. What I love about this dynamic is that I probably talk to him like once or twice a week. And it's interesting because what I thought I wanted was something that was like an all day texting, like, oh my gosh, I just like, you know what I wanted was NRE. I wanted that new relationship energy that's kind of intoxicating. Sometimes it can be kind of toxic and a little love bomby, but it feels good and it's exciting and it's chaos and it's all that. But this feels really healthy. And I imagine him as more of a partner than I do a boyfriend. And so it feels a lot healthier. He got us a hotel room last week and we had like amazing sex. And he like, one of the times we were having sex, he like wore this like face mask and it was just kind of this like really intense. And he has such daddy energy, but I feel really safe with him. So it's one of the only like more dominant interactions I have had with someone that I just like feel really safe to have those types of experiences with. And okay, he's the kind of guy that, because sometimes I want to do like really crazy shit. And there's only certain people I'd want to do that with. Like I've been wanting to play with knife play or like Brian's dying.
Okay. I've just never heard that kink before. All right.
I just want to do like dirty things with him. I want to do things that like I haven't wanted to do with other people before. Oh my God, this is so crazy, actually. We'll have these conversations, and something that he loves that I said that he was like, that actually turned me on so much is I was kind of joking, but it turned into like the sexual thing where I was like, I just want to like, no, this is so fucked up. Okay. I was like, I just want to cut you open and like shove your guts in my pussy.
That is super weird.
And he was like, and I said it as a joke at first, because he was like, when you're really into someone and you just like want to cut them open and just like get in their body and be as close as possible to them. And you're like, I just want to get in there and just like wear your skin.
Yeah. You want to like attach your like sew yourself together, but I've never heard it explained as like I want to cut you open, take your intestines out and put them inside of me. It's just very like the specificity of the body part you want removed.
Just give me your guts and just let me fuck them. I know. Wait, it's weird.
So is this officially like a partner now?
I would consider him a partner. Yeah, like I would consider him a partner. But then again, like I don't think we have to have a conversation where it's like, what are we? Are we partners? Are you my boyfriend? Like, like he's someone that I see and we go on fun dates and we have great sex and like we send each other funny memes and we check in from time to time and it's just like casual. So I would definitely consider him a partner.
Congrats. That's
Thank
awesome.
You. I'm stoked.
Layla and Clyde. Now, when you say knife, do you mean prop knife or you mean real knife?
Real. I want a real knife.
Okay, we're follow up. We're gonna have to follow up about this, people, because if that happens, because that could just go wrong so many ways. You're gonna have to let us know.
I just want him to drink my blood.
Oh boy, just like light me on fire. Yeah,
yes.
Just like
hit me with your car.
You're getting there.
So I'm watching Annie's notes update knife play. They're dirty, kinky shit.
But it's kink, dude, and like I think that is a lot of people who are not non-monogamous are still kinky, and I think there's something to that.
Yeah. So like I experimented with that when I was younger, knife play, and I was probably 19, and me and this guy like I don't remember. I think we were in a hot tub, and we would like. Oh, this is so weird. We'd like consensually, very surface level cuts. And like, it was.
We are not going to post this anywhere. This is wild.
This is so wild. We're not going to clip this. That's for sure. This won't do well on socials.
It would do so well on social that they would that they don't allow it.
It'd be flagged in 2 seconds. But that's my update.
That's your update.
What's your update on the couple from the gym?
Okay, couple from the gym. All right. So they invited us somewhere again, and we were like, all right, we're just gonna tell them. So I grabbed my wife's phone, and because they invited us somewhere, but we had play plans that night, and so we're like, oh, we can't go. And then, the girl, she was like, well, what are you doing? She asked my wife, like, well, what specifically are you doing? And my wife didn't know what to say. I was just like, let's just be honest. And so we said we were going to like a play thing. And we said, like, we actually can bring more people, but we don't know if that's your thing. But, I just wanted to be upfront that we are into that. We don't need all of our relationships to be about that, but we just wanted to let you know that's what's happening. And basically the text was like, I like you and I want to have a relationship here, but I don't want to have a relationship where I'm hiding who I am from you
Mhm.
because I already have enough friendships like that.
Right.
Um, and the girl was like, well, one, thank you for being vulnerable with me. That's super honest. And she was like, we're not into that, but we're not open like that. But I have so many questions. And so then I was like, oh, well, what are these questions? So I texted back, like, what questions do you have? And then she said, girl, this is a conversation that we get to have in person. So that was her response. So
Mhm.
her and my wife are going and meeting in person to talk through whatever the questions are that she has.
This is how it starts.
This is how it starts.
We all start and we go, "What? I could never." And then you start to talk about it and you go, "Oh, well, wow." And then maybe her and the husband will have like fantasies about it for the next couple months, and that'll make their sex even better because it's all like, "Oh my, what if we did?" Like, "Ooh, that could be," and then maybe they'll try it.
Maybe they'll try it. And like I said, I think I said this on the last episode that we've been opening ourselves up to more play that's not full swap. Because there's some great couples but they don't like, they just want the girls to make out and like
Mhm.
you're still hanging out and having a great time. So even if it was that type of situation, I wouldn't care. I think to have a solid relationship with another successful couple where like it's an option or it isn't, it doesn't really matter to us. And so
Mhm.
any extra fun is just bonus. So I'm excited for them to have this lunch or Pilates / lunch and talk it out.
I love
So
newbies. I think I'm such a kink for newbies and people that are willing to experiment and people that are like, I never in my wildest dreams thought that I could, create the fantasy that I've always had. And I mean, that's really fun, and to be there and to like, Brian, y'all have been in the lifestyle space long enough to know like what's appropriate, what's not, like consent in these conversations. And you have an opportunity to guide them and integrate them into a group that really does practice the proper etiquette.
I think that's what it's about too. Is like, I think we'd be a great first couple for them. And they'd have a great experience and then they'd be like, and then they would meet some other friends and have a great experience. And they'd realize that it's a lot more than just play here.
Right.
So
Right.
we're pumped. We're pumped. So I'll update that. So that's my update. And then before we go, last call, we said that on this call, we would talk about your gangbang
Mhm.
and that the listeners have been challenging you to follow through with that and make some first steps. And so we said that on this episode, we would put together a list,
Mhm.
right, of who would be there. So do you have a list?
I have a list. I mean, I can't say the names on here
Okay. How many people are on your list?
because you always invite more than what you actually want because
By like
people.
one or two. By like
Right,
one or two.
right.
Yeah.
We're right.
Yeah.
I
Yeah. We
have
learned that.
I have 6 people on my list.
Okay. 6 people on your list.
Mhm.
All right. So let's do this. Do you have a date in mind? A couple different dates?
With everything going on with the fires and with
Well,
everything like that, I was thinking, sooner rather than later would be fun, but
right.
maybe like in March.
In March. Okay,
Yeah,
great. But no date yet. Okay. So
no date yet.
you're like, I have a date. You want to do it in March. Okay. So here's what I think you should do. I think right now you should text all of them and say, hey, listen, I'm thinking about having a gangbang in March, keeping it small. And I'm trying to get a sense of like, you're one of the people I thought of for it, trying to get a sense of like what weekends in March, if you're interested and if you might be available. So are you interested in doing it? And like what weekends in March are you free?
Okay. What weekends are you free? I want to do it at Petite Hermitage.
Oh, the hotel. Okay.
Oh, it's my favorite hotel in the
Okay.
whole world.
Oh, perfect. It's in LA then. Everyone, Layla's about to text these 6 people. I'll tell you what I'm doing right now, people, as Layla does this. Layla, continue your work. Don't worry about
Okay.
me.
Yep. Okay.
I have my phone in my hand, people. And I'm like, am I about to get a text? Am I not going to? Which is
you'll
fine.
you'll
Layla, no,
see.
just because I'm on the call, there's no pressure for me to
Hey
be
there.
involved. No pressure, but a ton of pressure. Annie's laughing her ass off right now. It's
Uh,
fine.
it's auto correcting gangbang to hang bang.
I think you should send it just like that.
But also a hang bang is kind of hilarious if
It
it's
is.
like where it's like a gangbang, but we're just hanging out.
Exactly. I think you should do it.
Smiley face, right?
Yes, definitely a smiley face emoji. Can you read the message to the audience, seeing they know what you're sending?
I said, hey there, wanting to put together a gangbang for me in March in LA, about 6 guys. Is this something you'd be interested in?
Perfect message.
It's good, right?
Super casual. All right. You lucky 6 guys are going to get an awesome text message right now.
I'm sending them out to all the people. I'm so nervous.
Yeah, I know. Are you nervous because they might? What are you nervous about? Just
I
talk
don't
through it,
know. I'm
Layla.
literally shaking. I'm like
I
literally
s-
shaking. I don't know why, because all these guys I'm obviously really comfortable with and I love, which is why they would be there. But I don't know. Just like sometimes the first step's the hardest.
It is. It is. I love that we're taking the step.
Oh my God, this is going to be the hottest group of guys ever.
I love it. By the way, people, it's 11:45 a.m. on a Monday that we're recording this, and so these people are like the worst day of the week for work. It's like fire, like they've been dealing with a fire. Their stress level's super high, and they're getting text messages like this. And it's gonna brighten their day, their whole week, give them something to look forward to.
Someone said immediately yes, is what
Oh,
they
really?
said.
Nice. Look at that. And she got her first response on the
Cute.
call. I got a text. Thank you, because it's gonna be Layla. If you didn't give me a text, it's gonna be awkward. I was gonna virtually slap you.
Okay, I didn't get
You know.
invited to yours, so whatever.
I didn't do one. First of all, I haven't done one, and I didn't plan that. So take it up with the boss.
What the monogamous guy? How do I do? Okay, so let me just explain. He is honestly, I almost consider him a partner, like a life partner, because like we don't play, we don't do any of that, and we haven't for years. And he's in this monogamous relationship with this absolutely gorgeous girl who I
Mhm.
adore. She's super cool. And he has said, like, oh yeah, like maybe in the future, like we'll do non-monogamy or something like that. And I have asked him about gangbangs like last year when I wanted to plan one, and he was like, yeah, absolutely.
Mhm.
And then other people, yes, thank you, I'm so honored.
Yeah, you can cry. It's fine, Layla. You're gonna
Yeah,
get a lot of
definitely.
yeses.
I just started dating someone. She's pretty open, so I just need to run it by her, but sounds fun.
Yeah. See,
Okay,
look
but
at
the
that.
monogamous guy, I think I'm not going to ask him because I don't want him to. So I
First
need
of all,
one
it's
more.
crazy that you sent these out 2 minutes ago. All these people on a Monday dropped what they were doing to respond to you. So that is great feedback. And look, honestly, Layla, I would just say, going back to that couple, we figured that like even if we put it out there for them, they would feel like it's kind of like a turn on just to be asked or to be presented with it. And
Mhm.
so I think like just kind of premise that and say, listen, I know you're in a monogamous relationship, so I'm not trying to cause any tension here. But just in case you're open to it, I am planning this thing that I talked to you about last year, and I want to include you in it.
Mhm.
Um, and if you can't come, that's totally fine. So you're kind of giving him the out and also respecting his relationship in the ask. That's how I would go about it.
Should I talk to his
And
partner first?
no, no, no,
No.
no, 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 no. Just talk to him. But then I would say like she's welcome to come watch or be
Ooh,
engaged,
yeah. I would love that
right?
actually. Yeah.
So she can be a part of it too. Maybe, and then she only has to think about him being with one person.
Because
So
I know we've talked about fluffers, which I open to that. I don't think his girlfriend would be a fluffer, but I imagine she could be there and like
yeah.
have some fun. Oh, someone said obviously dumb question. Who was that?
All
Oh,
right.
okay, yeah. Okay.
So that was a step this week. So then next time I want to like, okay, let's get the list. We need to figure out a date.
Mhm.
Figure out a date, and then we want to figure out a fluffer list. So next time I want to send text to the fluffers.
Who are the fluffers gonna
You
be?
got to think about this. This is on you to think about, people. So by next time, we will know who the fluffers are.
Okay,
So some
okay.
ladies will be getting an invite, and that'll be fun too. You might have to invite more ladies though, because the guys are going to be like a pretty high hit rate.
Well, and also the thing is this is how I don't want my gangbang to be what I imagine you imagine a gangbang to be. I imagine it's like we're all playing, and then we'll go to the restaurant there and get lunch. And then we'll come back and play again. And then we'll go up to the topless rooftop. And then we'll go play again. Like I want it to be
Oh,
kind
you
of
want an
like
all day?
yeah, I don't want it to
Okay.
be a 2 hour event where we bang it out and then we all leave. I would like for it to be more of like a hang bang.
All right. Well, we will
I'm so
update
happy.
everyone on the hang bang day as it progresses. And hey, like, listen, again, like we always say, like, try something or try someone new to end the
Mhm.
show. And what I do love about these last couple of episodes is you're like witnessing us doing that live and like living what we preach.
Mhm.
So we will just leave you with those updates for today. And we'll continue updating you as these stories progress. Thanks for joining for another episode.
Yeah, freaking love y'all.
And we will see you next time. And until we see you again, try something or try someone new.